Hi guys, we're the Tattoo Teachers.
In bed.
But it's not what you think.
Yeah.
It's not what you think. Today's topic, well, I remember these days though.
I barely do.
Going off to college for the first time.
So
what
exciting.
an exciting time
So
for
exciting.
you and your child. A few tears for you, but great for your child. So stay tuned.
See you in a minute.
Hi guys, we're the Tattoo Teachers, and we're here with some tips on sending your child, your baby, off to college for the first time. Boo-hoo. Let's talk about the fun things as a mom. The fun things as a mom is you get to go in and maybe help your child. If you're into decorating, help your child, get that little bedding and whatever they can do to make their little dorm room or their apartment, if they're moving to an apartment, feel like home. And that was one of the fun things with my daughter and I, that we got to, do a few new things in her apartment, and, she got to fix it the way she wanted to. Now, when I came home and her little bedroom was empty.
Oh, God.
Oh, my God. I stayed in there for several hours just crying and sweeping and trying to pick my life up. And
Because, bless her heart, our child had moved 12 miles down the road.
You weren't supposed to say that part. She went to college.
She was so far away.
Anyway, that's the fun part. So start looking at those apartments, or, of course you should have already probably decided what dorm and paid that deposit and things like that if they're planning to go in the fall. Or, if you're watching this video and it's not summertime, you might want to start thinking about where your child's going to live for college and making sure you get those dorm deposits and things in on time. But a lot of the things that you need to teach your child and talk to your child about, or maybe I should talk to your child about this, is time management. That's going to be the biggest thing to overcome as a college student. We know that as college students ourselves. Once upon a time, I know we don't look like we were college students, but we were.
Knock this spider webs and this dust off of us.
We were in the 80s. Yay! We were college students.
70s.
Oh.
Hey.
How old are
Holy
you?
crap.
Who is this man?
Old enough to know better.
Anyway, we were college students once. We had a daughter that was a college student at one point, and time management is the hardest thing. Look, your mom, college student, college freshman, is not going to be there to tell you to do your homework. If you're not intrinsically self-motivated.
Really?
Well, some helicopter moms are, but anyway.
It's like Black Ops was hanging out over her apartment.
Anyway, if your child is off in another state or really far away,
yep.
Other than calling them and saying, "Did you do your homework tonight?" You're not going to be able to do that. So, time management. Kids, I cannot tell you, look, in Louisiana we have TOPS money. You have to go to class. You have to go to class. And you have to get that work done. It's not all about that boyfriend, girlfriend, or going to that club. I know that's part of college life.
Ooh.
The Brandon Iron, what's up?
What's up?
That's part of it. But what you need to do is really, really work on your time management. What kept me in college all the time is I knew that if I didn't make the grades, my parents were not going to pay for it, and I'd have to come home. So, I wanted to feel that independence and stay in college as long as I could. So, you've got to take care of your end of the business, and there's not going to be anybody there telling you what you have to do. It has to come from within. You have to be self-motivated. You have to make yourself do the work even when you don't want to. And that's the only way you're going to make it through college, and go to class.
One of the biggest problems that college freshmen face when they begin school, especially if you're living on campus or living in an apartment, is sharing space. Even if you grew up with brothers and sisters and there was a difference when you were at home and you had referees.
That's
you
right.
had mom, or you had dad, or you had mom and dad who were there, saying, hey, quit hitting your sister and you've got to share the bathroom. Well, when you're 18, 19, whatever, in the dorm or in the apartments, you don't have a referee. It's
That's
just
right.
you and your roommates. You have to learn to share that space, and living in close quarters can be tough.
Look, it's tough for people who are married and love each other, much less for roommates. And shout out to my roommate
my
BB
mouth
in
shut.
Branson, Missouri. Love you now.
I had several roommates in the dorm and in apartments, and it was always tough. And one thing that you need to be very careful about, college freshmen, is if you room with your BFF from high school, those relationships can fall apart very quickly if
Right.
you're not careful, and if you're not in the mindset that, as Dr. Phil would say, it ain't about you. It's not all about you. It's that other person is paying rent and paying part of the utility bills, whatever the situation is, and so you have to be
And
cognizant.
look, y'all came from two totally different families. Seriously,
Yeah.
you know, like it's kind of like a marriage. You came from two totally different families, and you're trying to make this thing work, you know, together. It would be a good idea, which I know 18 and 19-year-olds don't like to do this, but it would be a good idea to sit down with your roommate and let's talk about some rules. You know, you don't eat my food, I don't eat your food without permission. You know, whatever. You don't wear my clothes. This is girls now. You don't wear my clothes, I don't wear your clothes. You know, you need to have some boundaries and some rules, maybe within the dorm or within the apartment. But I know that's hard for 18 and 19-year-olds to do. But
And speaking,
communication, always the key.
and that's a good segue to what I want to discuss just very quickly. On behalf of all dads, naturally we worry, and of course moms do too, but dads watch all of these cop shows and all these things, and so our main concern initially is security. Safety and security. Being sure that those kids remember to lock the doors, to remember that to keep their phones charged,
Right.
and not to open the door to everybody just because they knock on the door. If you order pizza, if you order Chinese, whatever, and it's delivered, please, you know, look through the peephole. Be sure that the person standing on the other side is actually representative of whoever the delivery service is, and just be careful when you open your door to strangers.
Yeah, we lived in a rural area, and our daughter maybe not taught all those things as well as she should have been, because we were kind of lax on security at our own house. Although we're not now, but we were. And so anyway, just make sure you teach your child all of those things that seem like second nature to us, but they haven't had all the experiences that we've had, and they need to make sure those doors are locked.
Well, I think Caitlin was taught pretty well. I had a situation actually when I was a freshman in college. I had someone got into my dorm room, and while I was there.
Oh, I remember that story.
Yeah,
Tell that story. Do we have time?
Just
Tell this
very
story.
quickly.
Good story.
My roommate was academically gifted, and so academically gifted that he didn't spend a lot of time in the room with me, especially when he was studying. He was a pharmacy student, and
4.0.
yeah, he was actually.
Let's talk about your GPA. Never mind. Go ahead. Sorry.
A cold front. My God, it just got so cold in here. My roommate was next door. We actually had suite mates. We had 2 dorms that joined, and we shared a bath. And he was actually next door studying because one of our suite mates came over. He and I shared a math class, and so I was over doing homework, and the suite mate was over just running his mouth about whatever. And so we had a guy actually came to the door and knocked. We didn't think anything about it. We were on the ground floor, opened up the door, and, you know, hey, what's up? And this guy was asking if I knew someone in the dorm. No, don't know him. And he just stepped in, just across the threshold into the room. And I thought it was a little odd, but the way we grew up, you know, we were taught to be hospitable no matter what. And so I just went back. Yeah. And it was afternoon. It was still daylight outside. There were people, you know, milling around campus. I just went back to doing my work. The guy was just kind of standing there talking. My suite mate, he was over actually sitting on the edge of my roommate's bed, And this guy just continued to talk. And
what was he saying?
He was just asking about this person that he knew and wasn't quite sure. And we were trying to give him directions. Go down to the main lobby. They have a directory. Just go ask one of the RAs or whatever down there about your friend, and they can look them up. Well, then the conversation began to get a little odd, and some of the sentences, the words he was using, sentences, didn't really join together, and I realized we were dealing with someone who wasn't quite stable. And the clincher was, as he was talking, he reached behind the door. We lived in an outside dorm, and what I mean by that is our doors open to nature. We didn't live in a hallway dorm that was self-enclosed. So when you opened our door and you stepped out, you were in the sunshine or in the rain or whatever. And we had left the door open. It was spring and it was nice weather. And as a matter of fact, I think we had the windows up. And this guy closed the door behind him and locked it. And I realized then this may be trouble. And so as I almost quit listening to the guy at that point. And I'm just kind of running through my head, what am I going to do? If this becomes violent, if this guy tries something, what is my role? How do I react to this? How do I create space between me and this threat? And so, I thankfully, the situation resolved itself. We managed to get the guy outside and get the door locked behind him without any violence, contacted campus security immediately, let them know. They came over and checked it out. So all I'm saying is, dads, moms, if it's just you dealing with this, please emphasize safety. Please emphasize, as coaches would say, keeping your head on a swivel. You know, be aware of your surroundings all the time.
You know, now that you've told that story, I remembered a story when I was in the dorm and my roommate BB was out, and I didn't have the door locked. I was in there studying like a good little girl. I was in there studying.
Freaking nerd.
And all of a sudden my door opened and a guy came in and closed the door behind him, and my heart just sank. And he saw that I was terrified because, you know, I can't hide my emotions. And luckily, I was in an all-girl dorm, and there was not supposed to be any guys in there, so he was hiding from whoever was looking for him, and he was trying to get to another room, and luckily, he bounced out and went, and, you know, when the coast was clear, went to his other room, and I ran and locked the door. But that could have been a bad situation, too.
Yeah.
Like, nobody, I was in there alone, nobody, you know, other than my roommate, who was off probably with her boyfriend, Mark. I don't know. But anyway, it could have turned out badly. It didn't, but it could have. So just teach your child normal safety procedures and just back up with them every time you talk to them. Don't go to anybody's house that you don't know. You know, make sure your door's always locked. And one of the first things, I should have said this in the beginning, that very first time you go, moms, you know, take that Clorox, take those Clorox wipes.
Oh my God.
You know, make sure you get that room good and clean for your baby to move into it.
Oh my gosh. And the colleges, you know, they do what they can, but
Yeah.
you know, wipe that crap down. Get that DNA out of there as best you can. Some of those places are like crime scenes. And whether it's an apartment or not, check that out ahead of time. Check out the neighborhood around the apartments. Ask questions. You're paying these people, and so you have the right to ask questions. And you don't, I mean, be nice about it, but be inquisitive.
And students, introduce yourself to your RA. They're the ones that you go to if you have trouble. So make sure you know how to get in touch with them. That's a residence assistant, right? Is that
Resident
what
assistant,
the word is? And just make sure you know all the important people in your dorm that you can contact.
And if you're in an apartment, be sure that apartment manager knows you. If there's an assistant manager, a lot of apartments have a complimentary apartment that they set aside for a security officer. Usually it's a local police officer or county sheriff's department officer. Somebody ask those questions. Hey, do you have a officer on site that handles security for you? Are there cameras? Those sort of things.
And shout out to our alma mater, Northeast Louisiana University, which
now
is now referred to as
the University of Louisiana at Monroe.
You did good for us.
And we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And they kept us safe. and
And
took
that's where
care
our
of us.
daughter went to. So
Yeah.
and your dad. So we're all ULM people.
Yeah, and that's a proud sponsor of Tattoo Teachers.
Oh my gosh.
Sure.
They're probably embarrassed now.
Holy.
Sorry about
Anyhow,
that. We might cut that part.
Yeah.
I don't know.
thanks guys, and
Have fun.
block out- block
for
out that
class.
block out that time for study, kids, and dads.
Do your studying.
Stock up on the pain reliever. You're
Ooh.
gonna need it moving all that heavy crap that your kids have.
Yeah.
See ya.
Bye. Don't forget your shoes, girls.
Microwave popcorn.
Bye.
Like and subscribe and share.
Bye.
Bye.